Hi, this is Frank. I'm replacing a back wheel bearing on the right rear of a 2017 Kia Optima, and the wheel bearing was stuck in the housing when I got done. Some people would say just whack it with the back of a hammer, but what I found is I had to take it off completely from the parking brake. So what you can do is remove this horseshoe clamp off of the parking brake with a large flat screwdriver. Pry that off, and then slide the cable through the opening. That's, like a horseshoe opening. Whoop, I'm not showing it very well, but slide the cable through, and you can get the whole assembly off. Then you could bring it up and actually take one bolt off the back of this that has that little component in there, the bolt, and that's what holds the parking brake cable. And then get a big flat blade screwdriver and get between this the bearing housing, the hub housing, the machine part, and this metal bracket. That's what was stuck on it. And so I got in there in the old one, got in here and jammed a screwdriver and pried it. After I did drive the back of this thing to loosen everything up, and I was able to pry this away from here because it was stuck. You could see the gap in there. I put a couple bolts in just to hold everything together, and I'll pull this all tight. The bearing only goes on one way. The hole's only allowed to go on one way. Your sensor, and the whole reason I'm doing this is because the ABS light is on. The sensor wire is on the bottom, the parking brake's on the top. The bearing only goes on here one way. I'll reinstall this on the back. I'll slide the cable onto this by just angling it at the proper angle and sliding it over this part here. And then I'll put the cable and the horseshoe clamp back on there, and it should go together well. But the main problem was I couldn't get the bearing off on the car because it was locked up into this, it was rusted into this part here, and the screwdriver between there helped me get this plate loose, and then the whole bearing fell right off. The parking brake shoes are loose, but they just sit up there, and when I put it back together, everything should be fine. I did use a launch scan tool to determine it was the right rear component, right rear wheel sensor. So hopefully when I get done, I'll plug this in. In fact, I'll plug this in while the whole assembly's loose, so I don't have to monkey with it once it's in as I'm holding it on, and then put the 4 bolts back in. And that's pretty much it. So 4 bolts behind the bearing have to come off. The caliper has to come off, and the brakes on the front of the rotor. There's the brake rotors off. You'll find 2 little screws. They need to come out. I recommend using I don't know, either vice grips on the back of a Phillips, or if you have a nut driver is what I really needed. I didn't have it, and dried those a little bit so you don't strip those. Hit them with a hammer, whatever. That's what I did. I just drove them with a hammer, and then I was able to remove those 2. And remember to leave the parking brake cable or the parking brake off, or it won't come off because your parking brake will hold everything together. So if you have your parking brake on, remember to release it as one of the first things you do, as long as you have the wheels blocked and the car won't roll away if it's in park. So hopefully that'll help. By the way, that launch $150 unit, I don't remember the letter designation, L1 something, I don't remember what it was, but that seemed to verify that the wheel sensor was out, and I could use it on my other vehicles and on this vehicle for other issues I might run into. It seems like a good little product as well. Wheel bearing was $50 on Amazon, so can't beat that. That has make sure when you order one, you order it with the ABS assembly if that's your problem, and the magnetic wheel sensor rather than the bearing was bad on this. The bearing made no noise at all. So hopefully everything will be resolved when I put it back together. Hope it helps you. Take care.